Hello, everybody. It is Saturday, the 7th of March, and I want to talk about the servants of God or God's chosen people. And I want to talk about religious trauma, which many are recognizing now, especially those that are in the Abrahamic religions. They are recognizing that they're suffering religious trauma, and I want to show you what this is and where this is coming from, and that we must recognize the truth of what it is we are and what it is we're in, and we must create a change because we're dying. As humanity, we are dying. Our spirit is dying. We're dying on the level of spirit. I want to show you this here. Now, Abrahamic religions, starting with the patriarch, obviously Abraham, who is the patriarch of the three branches of this religion, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all hanging on the same tree, all becoming fruits of the same tree. I want to show you this here. That tree will create the same fruit in all of its branches, and it will not change. Now, I had been listening to Jeffrey Doherty for a little while, talking about Abraham and whether Abraham was an Anunnaki because he came from Ur, which was an Anunnaki city. No, he was not. He was human, and that is the whole point. And to really look at the story of Abraham and what he did. Again, I was listening to another video by a Kabbalah Institute, and it was the story of Abraham being willing to sacrifice his son. And my God, they were bending over backwards, trying to make this into something that it is not. Yeah. Oh, this doesn't talk about a man taking his son to be sacrificed. Yeah. No. This is just a metaphor. This is, there's a greater meaning to it all. This is the sacrifice of the ego or something like that. Anything, everything, other than look at what actually happens in that story, because there's the truth. It's right in front of your eyes. There is a spiritual element to that, and I want to show you this as well. Well, let's start with the physical. What is happening in the physical story, yeah? Instead of oh no, go past this, nothing to see here, go past this, out there is the truth. Oh no, the truth is there. The material truth was there, and it was the fruit of the spirit, of the Abrahamic spirit. I want to show you this. So, okay, let's say in those days, and lots of the stories of the Sumerian text and everything else would suggest that there were extraterrestrial beings in this world at that time. Yeah, and they were mighty beings. They were the rulers. They ruled over humanity. To what extent they actually created humanity is another question. I think they tweaked us slightly, but they didn't change our essence. That's the problem. They never changed our essence. We're still our truth that we were before. We now have the ability to think more and to speak, the ability for speech, but that should not change what we are in essence. And I don't think it did. Because that is the truth. We must permanently suppress the truth of what we are. Anyway, so Abraham was living in that reality of extraterrestrials ruling over humanity. Yeah? And what Abraham did, he was the leader of a people, of a tribe. And as the leader of a tribe, he made a decision. And the decision was to make a covenant with one of the aliens, with one of the Elohim, to be his servant. That was his decision. He collaborated. He collaborated with the powers that be to become their servant. He was a collaborator. Now, there was a test, whether he would be admitted into the heavenly circus up there. And that was, he was asked to sacrifice his son. Right. So Abraham takes his son, and they're going on a journey for a few days. And here is, again, I'm not sure what the Kabbalah Institute actually made of that, but to me it's quite clear why he was asked to go on that journey. And that is, again, look at the material reality of it, and you know it. You can see it, it's playing itself out over and over and over again in this world, yeah? If you have a very powerful man who is in charge of, let's say, a tribe, of a corporation, of something, you know, he's at the top, how well do they actually know their children? Yeah, in many cases they don't, because their attention is otherwise engaged. Great leaders quite often make poor fathers. Anyway, so he's been sent on this journey to get to know his son, I would say. They are together, traveling together for a few days, they talk together, they eat together, you know, they have to find food together, they have to make campfires together. So they get to know each other. And at the end of that journey, will Abraham still be willing to sacrifice the son now that he knows him? Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to sacrifice something you know nothing about, but now that he knows him, there was a bonding there for a while. And yes, he was still willing to do that in order to become a servant to the Elohim. Now, and then here comes, oh, God didn't want that sacrifice. He stopped him at the last minute because God is love. Fuck is he? Sorry. No. All he needed to know, God needed to know, is that Abraham would be willing to do it. Well, the sacrifice itself would probably not have served God at that time. There was no purpose to the guy dying at that moment. But he needed to know that Abraham would do it. Abraham passed the test with flying colors. Good for him. And here is really the suppression of our own truth, the denial of ourselves, the denial of how a human being would naturally think and feel. Naturally, we have bonds with our children. Naturally, we should care for our children. Yeah? We should nurture them. We should make them fit to live, you know, in the world, to have a life. That is what we naturally do. We do not kill our children. So, Abraham overcame that. He overcame human truth, the denial of our essence, of what we are in essence. We're nurturing, we're caring. We have families, we have love, we have compassion. He overcame all of that, the denial of self, in order to serve an Elohim. I left a comment with Jeffrey Doherty saying Abraham was a traitor. And he was. He was a collaborator and he was a traitor. He betrayed his own humanity. The first betrayal was within himself. A traitor to his own truth. Anyway, so that is what we're looking at on the material. On the political scale, yeah, there were the big rulers, and yeah, Abraham was a collaborator. So, and as I said already, on the spiritual level is the energetic bonds that we have with each other, naturally. That is our natural truth, and that natural truth is spiritual. There is no separation. The material is the fruit of the Spirit. The Spirit comes first, and we have natural bonds by which we are moved, that move us. Moved by the Spirit, moved by a natural spirit. And that is the spirit that Abraham overcame. So, that is already on the spiritual level. Now, I heard David Icke and others, obviously, saying, oh, we are following Abraham, or everybody's talking about Abraham as the patriarch of these religions. There is no evidence that Abraham actually existed, so we can throw the whole story out of the window. It's not truth. We don't have to look at it. Nothing to see here. Again, nothing to see here. No, it's not truth. It's not historical truth. Forget it. Did Abraham exist? Yes. Yes, he did, and he still does. The spirit of Abraham still exists. And there are still people that are the vessel, the body that contains the spirit of Abraham. Oh, that one is alive and kicking, that spirit. Was there one man in that particular historical city that did these things? Is that a historical story? Maybe not. Were there Abrahams in that time? Were there Abrahams that collaborated with the Elohim? Humans that collaborated with the Elohim and did their bidding even by suppressing their own truth, going against their own nature. Did they exist? I would say there were thousands of Abrahams in those days, and they are still in the world today. The spirit of Abraham is alive and kicking. And that is what you must see. That is the truth you must see. Not, was there one man? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a spirit. It's a spirit around. Yes, everywhere. It's everywhere. Do people betray their own truth in order to get up the greasy pole? Yes. Absolutely they do. Yeah, so no, do not throw that story out. See the truth in it, and then see the truth within yourself. Are you an Abraham? Are you Abraham? Are you suppressing your own truth in order to serve the mighty? Are you denying yourself in order to serve the mighty? Yeah? Hear the story and see the truth within you. The truth is within you and all around you. It's not in heaven. It's not in the past. It is here and it is now and it's creating a world. That is how you must look at that, not whether the actual person existed in that time. Doesn't matter. There were thousands that were the spirit of Abraham. So, and how do we get there? Thing is, how do we get there? How do we become the spirit of Abraham? Again, Abraham, and think yourself, because there may be thousands of years between him and you, yeah, and he might have been in a different country, part of the world. He was human, you are human. There's no difference. You can think, you can reason what his reasoning might have been, because if you were faced with that situation, and here's the thing, if you were faced with that situation of mighty beings that have full control, that can destroy, anything that goes up against them. Look at Sodom and Gomorrah, yeah? Not within the will of God, woof, 2 cities gone. What would you do? Put yourself in the shoes of Abraham. Yeah, and then say it's not Anunnaki, it might be something other power in this world at the moment that you're faced with. What path would you take? That is the question. That is the question that arises out of the story. Now, I can reason if Abraham is a leader of a tribe and he is honestly wanting to do what is best for his people, then he would say there are mighty beings that we cannot fight against. Therefore, my best survival plan for myself and for my people is to join them. If you can't beat them, join them. And I think that's what he did. Or what other Abrahams in that time did. It's the best plan of survival is to join them. And again, overcome your own truth, overcome your your own spiritual truth, the connections to your family. Abraham might have said, well, I make this sacrifice, sacrificing my own son, so to save many. Yeah, you sacrifice one to save many. That may have been the reasoning. I can see that. But over history now, thousands of years of history, that doesn't actually work. You're not saving your people. You're not saving yourself. You're leading into slavery. That is what you do. You make them slaves. That are then, on the one hand, being looked after. You're God's chosen people now. You will get of the mighty. They will give to you. They look after their people until it doesn't no longer serve them. And if it serves the mighty that you should sacrifice your children, you will be asked to do so. Yeah, and that is not taking them into the wilderness and building an altar or something. That is put a uniform on them and send them to war. Yeah, slightly different form. Same principle. You're sacrificing your children for the greater God or good of gods and the mighty. It's the will of God. You must do it. Send your children to be slaughtered. We're still doing it. We're still in the spirit of Abraham. We're all caught in it. Anybody who's hanging on that tree, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they're all of that spirit. They're all in that thought. They're all being moved by the thoughts and the emotions that will drive them to a physical outcome. Yeah, I said we've done it for thousands of years now, and our parents and their parents before them and generations before them have been operating in that story. Now, our parents and their parents before them, obviously unconscious, thinking this is how the world is. This is the only possible truth. We are living, and they were living, we're all living in this hierarchy system. So again, when I say we bring up our children to do what is best for them, then again, in this thinking of the hierarchy system, the best way to bring up your children, to prepare them for this world, is most likely to tell them to keep their head down and do as they're told. Because that might be the best survival plan for them. Because otherwise, if you go up against the mighty will kill you. So, in a twisted sort of way, we have been bringing up our children with the best plan of survival. Yeah? Do as the mighty tell you. And then without any vision of that there could be a different system, that there could be a different world. If we were to go by our own truth, by our own natural, energetic connections, and build a world based on that, then it would create a completely different world. If we do not deny our truth, but live it. Be guided by our own natural energies. And do according to that, it would create a completely different world. But as I say, our generations before us, first of all, they probably didn't have the vision that there could be another world. Or they were told, well, this world is evil, nature is evil. You have to be exalted up into the thinking of God. Because the nature ones are savages, and, there is salvation. And, well, if you look at the actions of the church when it came up against the nature people, you really should ask yourself who the savages actually were. Yeah? Who did the killing? Who did the slaughter? Who destroyed everything that was there? Yeah, open your eyes to truth, who the savages actually are. For the most part, it was not the nature ones. But I say we've been doing this. We lived in this system as the only truth of God, that hierarchy thing. And we prepared our children to function in that system. Yeah? And it is that the more you deny yourself, the more you deny your human truth, the higher you go up the greasy pole to be the children of God, the chosen ones by the mighty. You must suppress your human truth. You become transhuman. Actually, you become inhumane. We are creating people that will function in that system, and then we perpetuate the system. That's why we're going around in circles, because we are not changing. We are not going by a different truth. We're not following a different truth. So we are creating the same world over and over and over again, but it's us that is doing that. Yeah, and we really need to wake up here who the evil ones actually are here in this scenario. Yeah, we are so evil, and God is all love. Yeah, God comes in a Borg cube with angels slaughtering the world. They're pouring out plagues. Yeah, and I've been told by a blinking Christian that is a metaphor for heaven, and God is love. I mean, how deluded, how programmed do you actually have to be not to see the truth in that scenario? It's scary. It is actually absolutely scary. But we need to wake up. This is barely keeping us alive. This survival strategy of serving the gods is barely keeping us alive. And it will not lead to, it does not lead to freedom, prosperity, and life for all. And most certainly does not lead there. Most certainly not. So, yeah, we need to get out of that. And here is the last thing, it is religious trauma that is inflicted by the Abrahamic religions. And that trauma is spiritual. It is going up against your spiritual, your energetic truth. It's going up against the spiritual and energetic truth of this world, which is not evil. What is evil is what is coming from up there, or wherever it's coming from. That then goes into yourself, you deny yourself, and here's the trauma, you go at war. You go into war with yourself. You go up against your own truth. Yeah, kill the ego, bloody hell. Kill yourself. Kill your own truth, so you can be a glorious servant in that glorious heaven of eternal slaughter. But this is where the trauma is coming from. We're being traumatized on a spiritual level, on an energetic level. Yeah? And again, it is the spirit that creates the physical. Spiritual trauma will create physical disease. That is why we're dying, because we're not in our truth. That is quite apart from us throwing bombs at each other because it is the glorious will of God. Yeah, apart from that, we're actually causing disease within ourselves. Because we're not in our truth. We're not flowing with our energetic truth. We're going up against it. We're teaching our children to go up against it. We are creating new and new circles of the same thing. Well, it has now reached a height of insanity that means we might be destroying ourselves completely. I mean, we seem to be getting there. In service to God or whatever, we're destroying ourselves. That is the height of insanity. That is the height of insanity, and we really need to snap out of it before it is too late. So, say, unindoctrinate from this. Actually, it is a survival strategy. It was a survival strategy, I'm sure, at the start. You know, keep your head down, and if you can't beat them, join them, to ensure your own survival. That may have been the start of it. It is not a survival strategy that will work in the long run. I think we have thousands of years of proof of that now. It is not a good strategy. We need to find a different way. This is not it. This is not the way to life. This is not the truth. This is not our truth. So we need to wake up to our own truth and stand in it. And stand against evil, which means stand against the biblical God. That is evil. That is the awakening that we must have. Not, oh, out there, it's all metaphor, it's not real, go into another dimension. No, do not. The truth is within you and all around you. The physical is the truth because it is the fruit of the Spirit. Yeah, it is the outcome. And there's the truth. You're living the truth of the Spirit. So there's something wrong with your spirit. That's the last thing. It says in the Bible, do not fear those that will kill your body with a sword. Fear those that will kill body and soul in hell. And this is what this has created. It has created hell, and what is dying is not just your body, it is your soul. You're fighting for the survival of your soul, of your eternal soul, because it's your eternal soul that will go into eternal slavery if we do not get this right. This is not just physical. This is a spiritual war, and you're fighting for the survival of your soul. So let's drop the path of Abraham. Let's not be servants to those gods. Love your neighbor as yourself. Be servants to each other in human truth. And let's see what kind of world that will create. Anyway, I leave it at that for today, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.